Bring it back.
Hi guys, what's going on? I'm Evolos and today we are back with another episode of Total War Arena. So I have mostly been doing cavalry videos for this game so far because basically I enjoy playing cavalry. It's my favourite class to play so far. But I have been working my way a bit down the archer tech tree as well. So we're up to tier 4, which are the, well, that's a complicated name, Toxotai. It's the Greek archer class. I know the barbarians also do an archer class, but we're in the tier 4 on the Greek archer class. I haven't fully researched everything yet. I've got the first upgraded bow, which gives me slightly more range, and I'm going to save up and get the second bow next because that will give me more damage and more range again, and that's probably the most important thing. So what else do we say about these? I have been so far using these with consumables. This is the first unit I've actually done this for, and I have been using the Archimedes Council consumable, and I used it on the class before as well. It costs about 750 gold per game per unit, so it's sort of like 2,000 gold to 2,100 gold for the 3 units to each have on Archimedes Council. But the benefit of that is I'm not so interested really in the acceleration, although that just means that your units start running quicker. But the main reason I have it is for the missile weapon range. It sounds silly, but just having the extra little +8 means you can shoot enemy archers before they can shoot you. You can hang back a little bit to get that extra little bit of range and do damage while being a bit safer. And I think it just seems well worth the cost at the moment. And as a general rule, I'm not making a loss on each battle anyway, even with these on each unit, so I'm happy to put them on. So let's have a quick look at the unit stats. So weapon damage, weapon range. Weapon range is 95 plus 18, because that's with the Archimedes Council, and along with the increased bow. So when I get to the next bow, I also get more weapon range as well, so that will increase even further. Obviously they have no defense and they're not that quick. As a general rule, the movement speed of these archers is sort of superior to most hoplites and Roman infantry, but if you get some of the fast hoplites and some of like the barbarian infantry, you'll find they'll be quicker than your foot units, so you've got to be careful. You can soon get yourself in trouble. And that's really it for the stats. All the stats of the archers are basically based around the weapon damage of the bow and its range. The units have no morale, no armour, and you know, if they get into a hand-to-hand fight, they are absolutely useless. So commander-wise, I'm using Kanane. I've only got 2. I've not got barrage unlocked yet, but I've got rapid advance, which basically enables the units to accelerate, turn, and move quicker. So that's good for trying to quickly get out of a fight or get away from enemy if there's enemy units advancing on you, or if you're just trying to get up to the front line quickly. And hunt, something I'm not really taken much advantage of. It's basically you can target an enemy unit and you keep vision on that unit even if it goes into grass or something like that. So if you're targeting a group of enemy archers and one of them, you know, and they're running towards long grass or into the trees, it's kind of useful then to use, because you'll keep line of sight on them even though they take cover. So, I think that's pretty much all there is to say on the archers, so let's hop straight into a battle and see how we get on. So, we are just loading in on Hadrian's Wall map. We're top tier, we're tier 4, mostly tier 3s on our team, which I would assume will be the same for the enemy team, so that's kind of a good thing. So, just having a look at placement. My main worry is I want to be around friendly enemy infantry. So far I'm thinking here, because I've got 2 enemy spearmen here. The biggest vulnerability of archers obviously is cavalry. You know, if a cavalry, even just one cavalry unit gets in amongst your troops, they can pretty much wipe you out within 30 seconds, and you'll just do, you know, no damage to them at all. Some people sort of, because of that, tend to play like take out one of the units on archers and replace it with a unit of spearmen. I'm personally not a fan of this as a tactic. I think there's enough to manage as it is. Trying to do sort of split focused units doesn't really work. You just end up with 2 units of archers and 1 unit of spearmen who just ends up doing nothing really, or not contributing to the team. So I think you're better off with 3 units of archers and just trying to focus on staying around friendly units to stay alive. So there's some enemy cavalry in the gap and some enemy archers. I think they're the barbarian archers So that's an interesting. Let's see if we can get a round of volley off on the enemy cavalry, which we can. I think they might be regretting sitting there. We'll cease fire because they've just thrown their cavalry, appears to have just thrown their lives away completely for no real apparent reason by charging into the front of some Roman infantry. So we'll use our extra range against the enemy archers here to try and get a few shots off. You've got to be careful, your units do follow. If you tell your units to attack an enemy unit, and then the enemy unit moves outside of your range, your units will chase him. So it's worth bearing in mind. And if you're not careful, they will just start firing on units on their own as well, which is another problem. Because it means you can start causing friendly fire without really meaning to if you're not careful. So let's get fire back on these enemy archers, these huntsmen that are now on the edge of our range, because they're going to start doing quite a bit of damage to me. So we are on the advance. A reasonable opening stage. The enemy threw away pretty much all its units of cavalry, which was very strange and very silly. I've got to be careful not to just charge forwards because we're still quite exposed and there may well be more enemy cavalry about we don't yet know about. Let's see if we can get these cavalry units that just stood there. Okay, that was an effective move. And then we've got enemy archers now in the open, so let's try and get fire on these. So we are taking fire as well. We could do with spreading out perhaps a little bit more, but we'll just leave them now to keep up the base of fire. So we're taking quite heavy casualties, but we're doing more damage to them at the moment. We've got some enemy huntsmen moving in here who aren't firing on us, so that's not so bad. And the enemy archers are now dashing out of range. So let's open fire on these tier 3 huntsmen that have just come into the range. Keep an eye if these people look like they're going to be turning around. You see, we seem to deal pretty massive amounts of damage to their enemy archers when they just stood there. Ooh, blimey. Some artillery in the game, apparently. So let's keep the pressure up. Still pretty drawn. We've just got a slight lead in the match so far. The enemy have got 2 units here and the artillery. So let's push up to these walls, see if we can get some fire on the enemy archers. Okay, so they're coming back into range. Let's fire at these archers again. Oh, we led them a little bit too much there. We missed that shot. So there we go, a bit more accurate that time. Yeah, soon racks up a lot of damage on the enemy archers. They're pretty much dead now. Okay, so let's just leave them. There's no point in wasting loads of time shooting them. Get in range of the Hastati. Let's open fire on them. I'd rather... It would be better if our hoplites didn't just engage the Hastati, given that we could just shoot them with archers. So let's advance up. Get some fire on the catapult. Oh, we have... Okay. Bit of poor play there by myself. I wasn't paying attention sufficiently and didn't see the enemy cavalry. It's a little bit interesting. We're taking quite a lot of allied fire. But we've got no allied units around us. Okay. The enemy cavalry has broken away. Let's quickly turn and try and get archer fire on them as they run. Want to do sufficient damage to the enemy cavalry that they're no longer able to damage us in future. So we took quite a lot of damage there. That was my own fault. See, that's the risk of archers. As soon as you stop paying attention, that's when you die. You don't have to. It doesn't take long. You have to be slightly absent for attention just for a short while, and that's it. You're in trouble. So we'll get some fire on the warband. Generally, the barbarian infantry tend to be the lighter infantry. So they're the easier to kill, much like this blood swarm. I'll target them in a second. Let's get fire on the blood swarm a little bit. Try and just clip the arrows over these walls. We've got to be a bit careful because we're starting to get a little bit problematic with these how our phalanx is doing against these barbarian infantry.
We are firing upon allies.
We've got some Athenian phalanx coming around the corner as well. Just get a bit of fire on the enemy archers, which are causing us trouble. I think we may want to consider running away.
Onward! Our men are under attack.
Let's get a shot off. And then start to pull back. So we're being chased now by some barbarian infantry, which is a problem. We'll shoot into the back of them. We are causing some friendly fire, but I would have thought, well, actually not doing that much to them compared to what we're taking. So now being shot at by the enemy barbarian archers again, so let's try and return fire to them. We're starting to sort of lose control of this situation a bit. We've not got many men left now. It's going to be a pretty hard one to salvage anything off, and we're now being charged by enemy barbarian cavalry, enemy barbarian infantry, sorry, who are probably going to be quicker than us. So is there anywhere we can run to? So there's some friendly allies over here, so I think for now we would be best beating a retreat if we can. Now I'm going to try and sort of keep... So I've activated Hunt on these archers, so hopefully we can see them, but we can't. They can't see us. Some friendly infantry. Stop shooting. I'm going to hit some friendly fire on our cavalry there. But it's good that our cavalry have killed their archers, so it leaves us free to start shooting back at the barbarian infantry. Oh, killed one. Problem is our archers are now quite decimated, so we're not getting that many shots off per time. But we can still rack up a reasonable amount of damage. It's still pretty close on the scoreboard, so everything we do still counts here. I'm going to run with the Starty because... Ooh, they set me on fire. Clever move there by the... Let's turn and start to shoot the barbarians as they run. It looks like the enemy still has some archers left in the game. I'm going to go back to my little wall so the enemy archers can't see me. And then I'm going to focus my fire on the enemy archers. If we can. Is everyone shooting? A few people have got a little bit close to the wall there, I think. This is where that extra little bit of range you get from Archimedes' council bonus is useful, because you know it gives me options in what I want to shoot at. We're now being spotted by the enemy archers, and I can't see them. So I'm trying to have a bit of an irregular running pattern, because when you right click to shoot an enemy unit, the computer pre-predicts where you're going and therefore shoots ahead of you. So by changing directions like this as the enemy archers shoot, it makes it very hard for them to know where to shoot at me. It just basically provides free hits. So let's target some fire on this warband. Not too much fire though, because I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to try and shoot these hoplites because they're exposed. It won't do any friendly fire, hopefully. These enemy archers really do not seem to like me very much. Oopsie daisy. Okay, let's retreat back into the forest. So let's shoot these hoplites, since they're going into the back of the Romans. So our ability to influence the battle is now pretty small. There's not really much we can do now. I think this one's probably going to be lost. I made a bit of a mistake, too much of a mistake early on in the game by allowing the enemy cavalry to get round me, and that allowed them to do quite a lot of damage to me, which was an error, but it's all learnt. Hopefully this sort of gives you a bit of an insight into how some of the archers can be used. I think one of the best little tips though is definitely when facing the enemy archers, for being able to run like that. When you see the arrows is You know, learning to be able to avoid them, because they really are quite easy to avoid, and you can save a lot of your units by avoiding the enemy arrows. So let's see if we can just try and keep some fire up.
Stop firing! Our arrows find allies!
Doesn't look good here. They've still got quite a lot of units left, and well, I'm about all that's left. Shooting a few arrows from the trees. There's no point dragging out this out too much longer than is necessary. Let's get out of the trees so we can be seen. I think I have greatly reduced range because Kanane is hurt. Oh dear. And I think, guys, that is the end of that. Can try and run away, but I think it's a bit of a forlorn hope. The enemy archers are right on me in the trees. Oh, I can't even see them. Oh, Kanane has died. There we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Things didn't quite pan out as I'd hoped there, but I think that was a pretty tough fight. It kind of quite well demonstrates how the archers sort of play out. It's really a case of sort of trying to pick your targets without getting any friendly fire, while always being vigilant of cavalry, which is obviously something I still need to be a bit more careful upon. Let's have a quick look at the battle results. We're sort of middle of the pack, 2,800 damage. Quite a lot of damage to other players, but not much support or base cap. So just to give you an idea of the earnings. So yeah, consumables 2,244, that is the Archimedes council costs. But I earned 9,700 from the battle, so even with the unit replenishments, we still made over 5,000 silver for that battle. Which is fine by me, so that's why I'm quite happy to use the Archimedes Council. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you have, please give it a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Thanks, guys, and I shall see you on the next one.